Selling Online Today, featuring Trevor from HelloBabyDirect.co.uk.
You know, if you worry about everything perfect to begin with, then you'll never start.
Making a great living by selling online is possible if you know who to turn to for help. Welcome to Selling Online Today, the show that features the winners of the online sales world sharing their stories of domination of eBay, Amazon, or their own sites. Here's your host, Patrick Conlin.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Selling Online Today, the show that brings you everything you need to know to successfully sell online in today's changing environment. We look here at sellers who sell on more than one channel, so eBay, Amazon and website, all tied in, all hooked up. And we are thrilled today to have with us Trevor Ginn from HelloBabyDirect.co.uk. Hi Trevor.
Hello.
Very excited to have you on our show. I've had a rummage around your website and it's quite interesting. It looks huge. There looks like there's an awful lot going on there. So I'm just going to hand it right over to you to fill us in a bit more about, when you started this business, how long you've been going and what it's all about.
We've been going about, we're based in a place called St Albans, which is just outside London. We've been going for about 7 years now. We started in 2008. We turn over about £1.5 million a year. We sell mainly through eBay and Amazon, but we do a lot of, we're very international. We sell on eBay in 7 countries and Amazon in 7 countries. Our big focus at the moment is to get our website up and running properly so we can start that as a new channel. We do mainly kind of baby and nursery stuff. We've also moved into things like we do fancy dress as well through a drop shipper. We were doing books, but that didn't really work out for us.
It sounds like you started off using the likes of eBay and Amazon first. Which one did you begin with?
I think we started on eBay and then we did Amazon quite soon afterwards. We've always been very multi-channel. I mean, eBay and Amazon just for easy ways to start. The more we try and sell on other things, the more we end up selling on eBay and Amazon, basically, is my experience. I mean, for example, we've done very well selling on Amazon internationally, less well on eBay internationally, but it still works quite well.
Would you have just basically have used their international listing tool and just merged with the catalogues in the likes of Germany and France and Spain and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of that going on. I mean, we do create our own listings internationally. I mean, we started doing Japan recently, Amazon Japan, which has worked quite well, actually. We've got about 1,500 odd items to list internationally, and we've managed to list, about 2/3 of those just through the catalogue.
Yes, just through the catalogue. And the other ones then, would you be outsourcing the translation of that, or are you using...
We do. It's a combination. I mean, we get interns from Europe to translate our products into different languages. I mean, with the Japanese stuff, we are going to pay to get some of those translated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm about to get 250 items translated into Japanese, which is going to cost me about £1,000, I think, something like that. Go through Elance to get that done.
Yeah, well, that's the way to do it. What about postage to Japan? Who would cater that for you?
Well, it's fine. I mean, I think with these things, it's just done by raw mail, basically. I mean, my experience is that it's an experiment, really. I mean, it is a matter of constant amazement to me that people want to buy stuff internationally from us, really. I mean, it's not like there's no baby stuff in Japan or the USA.
Yeah.
We put the stuff out there and we see who buys it. Once you set it up, it's just showing a postage label and putting it in the right bag.
Yes, well, Trevor, it's very refreshing to hear your very let's get it done attitude, and it certainly is very inspiring for our listeners, because there's a lot of our listeners out there who are just about to start to set up online and they worry about a lot of things. It sounds like you're taking it very much in your stride.
What? You've got to try these things. I mean, we started off with, we do our translations mainly through Google Translate, which seems to do the trick. It's worked surprisingly well. I mean, we did get booted off Amazon Japan recently because they said our Japanese was rubbish, and they had a point. But we've got a translation company to do that now. I mean, you've got to try these things until you screw up, really. I mean, if you worry about everything perfect to begin with, then you'll never start. I'm looking at some other markets. There's one called bol.com in the Netherlands. There's Allegro in Poland. I mean, they're very easy ways of getting extra sales. We use eSeller Pro, which is a system, I don't know, what do you call it? Channel aggregator or something, who are pretty good, they're one of the more expensive ones. And we've got a website based on Magento. And that Magento, because there's so many extensions for Magento, we can just, we can pick it until the cows come home. In fact, in our case, just make changes until the whole thing just collapses in on itself.
Do you have in-house developers that are working on your Magento site?
No, we don't. Well, we don't do the development ourselves. It's a difficult beast. I think websites are just quite difficult. And talking as someone who likes websites and likes techie things, I find Magento quite a struggle getting everything to work together. We're almost there, but it's taken a very long time, years to get there, really.
Do you even think, is it worthwhile whenever my other channels are doing so well?
I do, but I think that I think there's two reasons. One, I think it's important to diversify as much as possible, because I think we see a lot of variation in the sales of one channel over another, and if the more channels you have, the less the changes in any one particular channel will affect you. It's not impossible to get kicked off a channel. It certainly has happened.
No.
And that's one thing. And also, take Amazon, for example. Amazon are always, I'm about to say working against you, but maybe that is the right thing to do. Amazon's always improving its functionality, getting new sellers on the site. For example, if you take, we're in the nursery sector, I've noticed that recently they've started doing a sort of subscription-based thing where you can subscribe to get nappies and sanitizer and stuff like that. That's something which would be very hard for us to do. They're to a certain extent working against you all the time. That's the wrong word. They're a separate company. You buy a service from them, but they're not on your side.
Some people would even say that your biggest competitor on Amazon is Amazon itself.
That is definitely true. And I think if you were to, who is our biggest competitor, I think it's Amazon themselves. Now, we do very well with Amazon on, the various channels we sell, but they've got a very active marketing team, which, when they've got, these new services, they're always trying to push them. And for example, I suspect, they with their FBA service, it becomes very easy for manufacturers to go directly to the public. And I suspect very strongly that Amazon is going to, and that's very appealing to certain companies. And we have had it in the past where these suppliers have rung us up and said, we've decided that we are going to be the only people selling on Amazon and you can't sell our stuff on Amazon anymore. And at which point we basically stop selling it. That's what I mean. They've got various services that they push quite aggressively. And we've seen at various points our sales drop off a lot. So I think it's important to try and diversify. And also kind of from a value point of view, I think, if we can get our website to work, it's going to be an extra channel. And I think that, will help us approach the 50% odd of people. I'd say marketplaces are probably 50% of the market, but then there's the other 50% that we don't really touch at the moment. And from the point of view of the value of your business, if you have your own website, it's perceived as being much more valuable.
Yes, and I think also it depends on the time of the year and the type of business it is. If we are able to see on the back end of our own website what percentage is coming from which channel. So there will be times when it's 30% website, 30% eBay, 30% Amazon, and say 10% on our mobile site. But then depending on the time of year, if I'm pushing my product listing ads, which are ultimately what I use to market the website, well, sometimes it'll go up to 50% and I'll slow down on the promotion within Amazon and eBay. I think each business will almost change its strategy on certain times of the year, especially if they have a bricks and mortar outlet,
Certainly, another good example of that is something like FBA. The FBA stuff really, just exploded on about the 20th of December when there's a kind of a flight to quality. People think, basically people trust Amazon to deliver their stuff on time. We very much, our sales dropped off a lot, but our FBA stuff picked up a lot.
So you do use FBA then?
Yeah, we do use FBA. Yeah, Amazon, it appeals to a certain person.
Well, they've invested so much in their warehouses throughout the world as part of their strategy to get as many businesses using FBA as possible.
Indeed. It's a good service. And also there's the FBA European Fulfillment Network. It's a good service.
It's online only, your business? Do you have an external store?
Do kind of have an external store. We've got a small shop at the front of our warehouse, which people can visit, because some of our suppliers require us to have a store. So we have a store.
Yes.
But we have very few people coming to it.
It sounds like you've got a team around you with that amount of turnover. How many people are there with you?
We've got 8, including me.
Wow. And do you upload all your own products yourself and do all the product descriptions?
We do, yes. That's what I've been working on recently as a more streamlined upload technique to system to mean that we get the data into the system correctly.
In my system, I can use anything from CSV files to upload it onto the site and then push it all onto Amazon and eBay in another 5 minutes with just filling out some of the essential things that they require. And it certainly has made my life a lot easier when it comes to that end of things. I suppose with the amount of product lines that it looks like you have on your website, a certain amount of that would be part of the crux of the issue, to try and use spreadsheets and multi-functionality uploads.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically we started using, as time goes on, we've complicated things and complicated things and complicated things. And it's important that we get all the right fields filled in. And it occurred to me that if we could actually streamline the upload process, because a lot of things are, you have some certain settings, and those settings can, actually derived from the same source. So, for example, if you've got for our products, we need to set a website category and an eBay category. And if you can just align those things, that you can basically set one category, and that basically means it selects the eBay category in the upload and the website category, and then you set the brand, and that sets the brand field, and it sets the eBay brand category and the website brand category. Then someone just needs to select one thing, and so instead of setting 3 things, and that means that they hopefully gets filled in properly, as opposed to people forgetting to do it.
Yes.
So the idea is you fill in, just one sheet, and that generates all the other sheets, which you can then be uploaded into the glorious eSeller Pro, which can then control the listings on all the different channels.
I suppose that ultimately they're all much of a muchness. They tend to do the right thing.
Well, you mean the software systems?
Yes, referring to the software systems.
Yeah, I did look into it. I think that eSeller Pro, it manages our slightly complex setup quite well. I think that, people are slightly harsh on these systems, saying they're all rubbish. I think that the problem is that everything's rubbish. I think it's probably all software's rubbish. That's the first problem, because none of it is perfect. And I think also they're trying to integrate with systems which themselves are deeply imperfect. I think that the way that, eBay particularly, we find correcting with, the way that eBay does its international listings is quite weak. They're difficult to manage. So, I don't know. Last time I seriously looked at it, because I was thinking of moving eSeller Pro because they were really annoying me. Just 1 or 2 problems that they hadn't fixed for years. And they found it quite hard to support international addresses.
Yes.
So people in Norway we sent things to were finding it quite hard to get their stuff. Anyway, they fixed that now quite a long time ago, but didn't have to take them a long time. But anyway, it's all, sewage under the bridge.
Some of the retailers that I'd be working with would be large hardware companies, so they would be dealing with thousands of different SKUs. And thankfully, we use a bulk eBay uploading tool. So once you've defined the categories that they're going to go into, once you've finished the listings on your website, you can just then bulk upload them to eBay, but there's a lot of work to do at the beginning, which is mapping across the fields as to, if it's in this category on my website, it has to go into this one on eBay. But once that's done then it becomes easier to list. If you have hundreds of different product lines, it just depends on the business, but it's all very interesting.
Talking about eSeller Pro, I think that I did look at some other tools at that point, and I actually concluded that eSeller Pro is pretty good. And a lot of things that it didn't do very well, other bits of software didn't do at all. So
at least they were making an attempt to solve it.
I don't know, some things that eSeller Pro did which we thought were quite important, other bits of software didn't do, apart from Channel Advisor did most of them, but the Channel Advisor is more expensive. And the other thing is I've got much better things to do than change my software system, which would be the most epic amount of work. I don't understand. Some quite big companies will just list everything using Turbo Lister. I don't know quite how they manage it myself, but I don't know. Anyway.
That's hard to know how everyone goes about it. So you obviously are in the midst of it every day. You enjoy it.
Well, the struggle is my life, to quote Nelson Mandela.
What would you say your biggest strength is as a business owner?
Me? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think just got to keep going, really. Tenacity to push on through. I don't know. I'm quite interested in trying new things. Some of them work, some of them don't. I'm quite good at delegating. I don't know if it's a strength or not.
Oh, absolutely.
Really good at delegating. World class at delegating.
Some people can't delegate at all.
Very happy to let other people do things for me.
What would your biggest weakness be?
Not terribly good at financial stuff. I need to get better at that. I need to understand the financial side of things more. Yeah. I find that quite hard. Like everyone, I focus on the things I find interesting. And I don't always give people an awful lot of guidance because I'm so busy delegating to them. It's like, I expect people to get on with things without really telling them what to do.
Any unexpected orders that you've had in the past where you've said, wow, I wasn't really expecting that to come in?
Oh, that's a daily occurrence.
Yeah?
We did, the worst thing we've done is we managed to sell about 70 cots at about half price because we had the...
Oh, dear.
So we just cancelled them all. And there were some quite annoyed people. But
I would say so. And I'm surprised you didn't get your knuckles wrapped by Amazon or eBay for that.
I don't think we did get a warning, actually. We sell a lot on Amazon, so it just didn't really... I think our...
Yes, it didn't. Your metrics didn't get affected probably because of the numeric quantity that you're selling anyway. So,
well, our feedback's very good on Amazon UK. If it had been an international Amazon, I think it would have been a different story. But there just weren't that. But we couldn't do it. It would have cost me a lot of money, and there actually just weren't 70 cots in existence.
Yes, but isn't it mad to think that in the space of one night you could actually sell that amount of cots?
Yeah, I mean, there was some quite there's some really quite annoyed people, but I don't know, didn't want to lose the money.
Do you have people within your business that take care of the customer service?
Yeah,
or is that something
I don't touch it anymore. The levels of charm required, just not really in my ability. No, I mean, we don't. I don't do any of that. I will look at the orders occasionally or quite frequently, but I won't actually... My general policy is not to make any changes because I'm not on top of it. I don't really touch the orders themselves.
So orders and product listings all fine, internal technical stuff all sorted out. What about your marketing of the business? Is that something which you do yourselves or do you outsource that?
Well, it depends. I mean, our marketing is we've obviously got our kind of eBay and we do it all ourselves to the extent that we set up all the channels. We are going to start doing a sort of more kind of classic marketing thing. We're going to be running our own Google ads campaigns.
Do you use Amazon's own internal ad systems? They're starting to push that a bit now.
Well, we are going to start having a look at... There's product ads, which is the one which you can... We are going to have a look at that. I don't have an awful lot of faith for it working, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm not that keen on... they've got the thing where you can promote your Amazon listings. I think we pay enough money to Amazon as it is. I mean, I can imagine if you had an item which had a very high margin, that might be interesting. But we pay them 15% as it is. To pay them, more money on top of the quite hefty fees that we already pay them, I'd rather take that money and invest it in something else. I mean, if we pay much more than 15%, then we'd be losing money. So I'm not that interested in that.
What about the theory then? You sound like you're talking about pushing a lot more your own website. Would you agree with the philosophy that ultimately you're going to have to spend 15% of your turnover on your own website towards product listing ads within Google?
I'd be quite happy if we could achieve that. I think that would be a good start. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, we've tried with it in the past and we didn't get anywhere near 15%. So I don't know, it's going to be... I would consider 15% to be it needs to be 13% really because, you've got like 2% credit card fees. But, that would be a good baseline start if we could do that.
Do you offer free postage on your website?
Do, yeah. I mean, though we have had slight arguments with people about the definition of the word free. The postage website is included in the price. But that's fundamentally what it means.
That the postage essentially is included in the price of the item.
Yeah, well, that's what free postage means. So it's not free and in the same way that when you buy like a pot of Nescafe and it's got 33% free, it's included in the price. We had some arguments with some customers recently we said, It's not like the postage is free as such.
Do you find your returns policy is different depending on which country you're in as much as I notice, for example, in the women's shoe business, we get an awful lot of returns from Germany. It seems like the German people are happy to return things fairly swiftly without even at times asking for a refund, just popping the shoes into the post and back again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, we don't really have... one of the things our system isn't very good at is tracking returns. It's difficult to differentiate between what's a return and what's a refund in the system. I can't pull out any reports on that. And we don't have a massive problem with returns, really. No,
well, I suppose it's not just as bad as perhaps other fashion industries where people are trying on things, yeah.
Do you offer free returns, or...?
Well, again, this is all to do with the definition of how that works. Within eBay and Amazon, obviously, there's 14 days where you have to accept free returns.
Well, returns isn't, do you... I mean, obviously, we don't charge people, to return the item, but I mean, do you offer a service whereby people can, that you pay the postage for them to return it?
No, not strictly speaking, unless they take an exchange and we send them out something else. If they're just returning it because they just didn't like it when they got it, well, then they would pay the return postage.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of these things. I mean, for example, if you take the Net-a-Porters of this world, I mean, they offer a free returns service, and I mean, I think that's, you get very high rate. I mean, the whole thing is about making it very easy for people to return things. I mean, I'd fundamentally like to offer people free returns because I think, anything you can do to make the whole thing totally frictionless is good, but equally, if you offer some sort of Collect Plus style service where people can just go and take the things back, then you will increase the number of returns you get, and I don't really want more returns.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain amount of office work involved whenever something does return just to get it back into stock.
Yeah. Baby stuff's actually fairly resilient. Most of the stuff we can just put back on the shelf. But I mean, I do look at these I bought a disk drive, it didn't work, I sent it back. I mean, they've got so many bits and so many bags and things like that, it's quite hard for it really to go back on the shelf. I don't know what they do with it. I think the whole thing is going that way. I mean, recently Amazon was basically saying, you have to, local return addresses, and eBay's changed the return policy, etc. So I think it won't be too long before everyone has to offer free returns. I think maybe manufacturers need to make it easier for things to be returned. The packaging that most products have is not very friendly to people taking it and looking at it, and also not particularly friendly for postage. The packaging of items is really 10 years behind the times, I think.
Yeah. How did you manage to get into the area of nursery? Were you always involved in kids' products?
No, I had a kid and decided that it seemed like a good idea. I was quite interested in... nursery stuff has certain advantages, like you can sell it anywhere, it's fairly non-seasonal, it's something which sells quite well online. There's certain things, possibly a bad example, but sex toys, for example, you can't sell on eBay and Amazon. Maybe that's a good thing because, there's probably less competition for them, but certainly there's less channels open to you.
Yes.
And, I'm quite interested in climbing, so I was interested in selling climbing kit, but it's quite seasonal. I've no idea what you do the other 6 months of the year when,
source your materials in China and create new products, I suppose.
Well, but then you see, but then we source all that stuff from the UK anyway, from UK manufacturers, well, not UK representatives of manufacturers. We don't make our own stuff. I was looking at climbing equipment, and, there's various manufacturers of it internationally, but then there's all the safety regulations, etc. It's quite a difficult thing.
What advice would you give to someone who's starting off themselves and hasn't made the jump yet?
I think it's important for people to, my view on these things is you've got to become an expert in what you do. So, you've got, if you're not interested in playing with spreadsheets and the different channels, it's an awful lot of work getting the stuff live and keeping it live and updating it. And if you're not prepared for that, then, you've got to love that. Whereas if you're in a shop, you just, put it on the shelf and leave it there. Whereas, I've never run a shop. I'm sure it's more complicated than that. But anyway, we have to create a product. We have to create listings for it across, 10 plus channels, and we have to keep the date, keep it up to date.
Absolutely.
And customer service.
It's not for the faint-hearted. Some of the bricks and mortar business owners that we would talk to locally would would sort of be saying, I wonder, should I even get into it at all? And I would try to make them aware that, there is work involved. It is almost like a separate business. It's not just something you can just throw your products on and hope that they sell.
You do frequently see that people have websites and they just don't have they have a shop and they set up a website, but they just don't have time to keep it going. You really need to do it. It needs to be manned properly to do it.
So you yourself, any favourite books that you'd recommend to our listeners? Are you a reader?
Well, it depends if you're talking about specifically to do with online marketing or not. I read quite a lot of business books, but I don't know if there's any particularly to do with eBay and Amazon. They tend to be quite kind of entry-level stuff.
No, well, even in the business world, anything that inspires you that you think's a good read.
What have I read recently? I read Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. That's very much about how to set up a billion-dollar business, though, which is clearly not what I've done.
Hey, well, you're getting there.
I don't know about that. You're very kind. What else have I read? One called Rework, which is the one by the guys that set up Basecamp. That's it. The people who set up Basecamp. That was quite interesting. It's about how they set up their business. Felix Dennis's How to Be Rich. I can't remember. He's quite a funny guy. Liked his horses, crack cocaine. I know you're a fan of that as well, aren't you?
Well, I'm a fan of his book. I don't know about the first two.
It sounded like fun to me. He did die reasonably young. Well, was he young? I don't know, 60 something. Not that.
Yeah, he just passed away last year. No, I think it was very refreshing, his book, because it wasn't the typical, how would you say, fluff that is sometimes involved in a lot of these books.
It was quite practical. I like quite practical books. I think in terms of, Tame Bay is good. In terms of that's a good blog. Also, Web Retailer, that's another good one. I tend to read those. Or the Web Retailer particularly is the guy Andy who writes it. He does very in-depth articles on things, which are interesting. Tame Bay is good for just general news. Sorry to say, some of the articles are a bit light, but there's a lot of good stuff in there as well. Dan Wilson, who works for Tame Bay, he's written a few books on eBay which are pretty good, but fairly entry level. There's some good reads.
It's plenty to get our readers started anyway.
I read the book on Amazon recently, the one about Jeff Bezos and the Amazon future. That's a very interesting book on Amazon. If you're interested in the kind of history of Amazon and kind of what Amazon's up to, that's very good. That'd be my.
There's a lot of interesting things going on in your business. It sounds like it's very full on and a lot of people moving around and making things happen. So for our listeners again, yes, you can head over to HelloBabyDirect.co.uk to see everything that you have going on.
Please do.
And Trevor, is there any way that we can contact you? Do you have a personal Twitter account?
I do. Well, I do have a Twitter account, but I very rarely use it. And you can look at my blog, which is, I haven't written anything in ages, but it's trevorginn.com. It's my personal website. So
what do you blog about? What do you?
Well, I don't know. I haven't blogged about anything for quite a long time, actually.
In an ideal world, what would you like to be blogging about?
I don't know. I think I'd probably blog about social issues and be thought about as a great thinker. I think blogging about e-commerce is a bit boring myself. I used to write things about how to choose a URL and things like that. But I do enough of that at work without writing about it. But I haven't really decided what I want to blog about. That's why I don't really do it anymore. I used to have aspirations to do a blog a bit like yours and have it as a kind of a hub for e-commerce, but I just don't have time. So I kind of don't do that anymore.
Trevor, if you ever get round to it, we'd be very happy to have your articles on our website.
Well, who knows, I might write something, possibly.
I certainly would prefer someone who is in the business and not someone who's just theoretically talking about it and has never ran a business. That's why here at Selling Online Today, we love to interview actual people who actually do the business themselves. And I believe that's much more inspirational than having someone talk about the theory. I've loved your frankness and your bluntness regarding all the different themes, and you haven't held back, which is very good. And I think those insights are important for people who are thinking about starting up their own online selling business. And we look forward to catching up with you again, and I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
So, Trevor, thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Great. Okay, bye-bye.
Take the time right now to go to sellingonlinetoday.com and gain instant access to tons of free resources to help you in your online selling journey. We'll see you next time on Selling Online Today.